Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me here today at the Pistons Performance Center. I just finished speaking with the Detroit Pistons players and coaching staff and about the team's important role in encouraging every eligible Michigan citizen to vote in this year's election. And the Pistons are one of our strongest partners, not just in Michigan, but nationwide, in helping to equip citizens with the information they need to know to participate in our democracy. For several election cycles, even during the pandemic, the Pistons have hosted voter education events, including adding a voter registration link on their website and installing a secure ballot drop box right outside here in the Pistons Performance Center. On election night, this team really steps up and generously provides this space as a receiving center for the physical ballots that are cast throughout the city of Detroit. And especially in moments like these, that security and protection that facilities like these can provide us is critical. So, thanks to the leadership of Arn Tellem, the Pistons are also a founding member of the Michigan Businesses United for Elections. This statewide coalition of business leaders promotes nonpartisan voting information and encourages all employees to vote and serve as election workers in their communities. I'm really grateful for the Pistons' ongoing commitment and extraordinary leadership as we approach another critical election this year. And Pistons Vice Chairman Arn Tellem is here with me today. Do you want to say a few words, Arn?
Sure, thank you.
Sure.
No, we're all in on Detroit, and really, as an organization, I think we all feel a tremendous sense of responsibility of contributing to this community. And there's nothing more important than getting out to vote and encouraging everyone to have their voice heard and to participate in this election. So it was an honor for us to have the Secretary of State here today to speak to our players, coaching staff, and all of our employees. And we're all committed to working with you to do our best, that we will vote and help others in Detroit especially get out to vote and make sure their voices are heard. There's nothing more important. And the election's 40 days away, and we're all in over the next even though the season's starting, and that's priority number one. This is priority number 1, 2, is also to get out everyone to vote in Detroit. So thank you. Thank you for being here. No, thank you.
Thank you. We also have a shirt for you as a thank you. I'll give it to you later. Yeah, one of the other things we're going to announce shortly is a launch of our voter education program this year, which some of you may have seen this sticker in some other places. Our theme is, there you go. Looks good.
Yeah.
This is both a symbol for what we hope to see from the Pistons this year, as well as all citizens getting ready to vote and participate in our elections.
Great.
Thanks.
We're a proud leader.
Okay, all right.
Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And we're also here today to kick off the beginning of voting in Michigan for this year's presidential election. That's right. Voting in the 2024 general election has officially begun. And beginning today, ballots are available to every eligible citizen who wants to vote in this fall's election. Already, over 1.8 million Michigan citizens have requested their ballot for this election, and that includes about 1.6 million citizens on our state's permanent absentee ballot list. Those voters, per their request, automatically receive a ballot mailed to their home on the first day of voting, which in this election is today, in every election. In honor of voting beginning today, we also wanted to announce a number of new voter information initiatives that we have planned for this year. First is the launch of a new voter information texting tool, My Vote Info. With My Vote Info, any citizen can sign up to get a quick one-time text to your phone with information to help you cast your ballot and make your voice heard in this election. Voters sign up to receive a one-time text with a link to 5 different topics. That text will include a link that will enable them to request a citizen's absentee ballot, their ballot, find their early voting site, make a plan to vote on election day, become a poll worker, or reach Vote 411, the League of Women Voters nonpartisan election information guide. Anyone can sign up for the My Vote Info text by texting VOTE, VOTE, to 833-868-5685. 3009. That's 833 868 3009. Today, we're also rolling out a new absentee ballot tracking notification system. Voters have already been able to visit michigan.gov/vote to track their ballots. But starting today, they can register to receive these notifications directly to their email inbox. There are three ways to sign up when registering to vote: when submitting your online absentee ballot application, or by visiting michigan.gov/vote and clicking on the sign up link. Ballot tracking is an important security feature for those choosing to vote from home. It enables voters to see directly where their ballot is in the process at all times and learn exactly when it has been accepted for tabulation by their clerk. Next, in Michigan, we know citizens have options to vote, but we also know some of those options, in particular early in person voting, are new to many of our voters. In fact, our research found that more than half, 54% of all eligible young voters, still don't know about their option to vote early in this election. So today, we're also launching a voter information campaign to help spread the word about the convenient voting options that are available to all voters. So, starting today and through the beginning of November, our department will be running a series of social, streaming, and static ads to let all voters know just how simple it can be to cast your ballot this year. It even incorporates our now famous I voted winning sticker design that you saw earlier on the shirts that I handed over to Arn. We want every eligible voter to register and cast a ballot in every election. And we want everyone to know it is easy to do so. In fact, it's so simple. Is this the video? So there you go. More voter education options than ever before coming your way. And finally, our elections are only as accessible and reliable as they are secure. And we take election security and integrity very seriously. First, the facts. Michigan's elections are free, fair, secure, and the results are an accurate reflection of the will of the people. They are administered by more than 1,600 local clerks, Republicans, Democrats, and independents, along with thousands of poll workers from both parties and every community. These bipartisan professional election administrators are dedicated to making sure every vote is counted accurately, and we want every citizen to have confidence in that fact. We know false information about the accuracy and security of our election processes will ramp up now that voting has started, and it will only intensify as we get closer to Election Day. We also know state and local election officials are the best source for facts about voting and the election process. Oftentimes, I tell folks to visit michigan.gov/vote for all their election needs, and that's still true. But today we're launching another online tool for every citizen to ask questions and get the facts about our state's election procedures. The Election Facts Center at michigan.gov/election facts is your place for questions and answers about our elections. Remember, social media can amplify and spread lies, rumors, and deliberate misinformation meant to discourage eligible voters from participating in the election. Just this week, the intelligence community put out new warnings about foreign entities creating misinformation campaigns to mislead voters and prevent them from exercising their voting rights and trusting the results of our elections. Iran, China, and Russia have all ongoing, dedicating efforts to divide and confuse American voters headed to the ballot box, particularly in Michigan. Our team tracks what's going on through various social media platforms, but I want every citizen to know that they can help us address these false claims, and in doing so, improve voter confidence and thereby improving election integrity. So if you see misinformation, let us know about it. Don't spread it. We want to have resources to address any question or concern that misinformation campaigns raise, regardless of their source, so that all citizens can have faith, rightly placed faith, in our elections. You can email misinformation@michigan.gov with screenshots of things that you see so that we can help you respond with facts. And that also helps us keep our election facts center updated so that we can improve our communication to all voters. And in addition, we also know that clerks are making their final preparations for physical election security in their offices and at voting sites. To support these efforts, we are making an additional $5 million in grant funding available to local jurisdictions today to implement any election security measures that they still need for the 2024 election cycle. These grants can be used to boost physical security and resiliency against cybersecurity threats, as well as purchase additional voting equipment. I hope all clerks take advantage of these funds and use them for any remaining security needs. And finally, I want to close reminding everyone that with voting beginning today, we are entering a critical phase in this fall's election season. I know that I, along with the 1,600 bipartisan professional clerks across our state, will continue to spend every minute that we can working to make it easier to vote and harder to cheat in our state. We will do that because it's our honor, our duty, and because we know that the votes our citizens will cast in the next 45 days will define the future of our country. So today is a call to action for every eligible Michigan citizen to take the time to check your registration and choose the voting option that's best for you. And as always, you can visit michigan.gov/vote for all your voting needs. And now I'm happy to take some questions. Mhm.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Anthony with the Detroit News. The Michigan Republican Party chairman has said he's concerned Democrats will steal some votes this fall. Do you have any response to this?
I would welcome the chairman who knows me well and knows my professionalism to sit down with any local clerk or our office team so that we can walk through just how secure our elections are. I'm very proud of the professional, bipartisan election workers all across the state who work every day to ensure that every vote counts and only valid votes count. We have paper ballots in our elections. We conduct logic and accuracy tests prior to every election so that citizens can see just how accurate our machines are. And we have a number of security provisions in place to ensure every citizen, regardless of who they vote for or how they may feel about the election results, can trust the results to be an accurate reflection of the will of the people. But that underscores why it's so important for every citizen to know where to access facts about our elections. Because the very people who are hearing a lot of this misinformation could also be easily misled when in reality, our election officials work every day to ensure our elections are secure. So I hope every leader in the state recognizes their responsibility to speak the truth in this moment, and everyone seeking to hold public office, which is a great honor, to understand that the will of the people will be recorded through our accurate and secure election system. And that is the will, whether we agree with it or not, that all of us must stand by and support. And I expect every leader in the state to do that this year.
Can you go ahead, Steve? Not to get too conspiratorial, but
It's election season. Let's go.
What happened at TCF 4 years ago?
Yeah.
One reads that there could be intentional non-certification by some clerks. It could be a different level or a different attempt.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that and how you assess that risk? What happens if that starts happening on election night? What you're prepared to do? What can you do?
Well, a couple of things. One, we've strengthened our laws in Michigan to make it a crime to threaten an election official in their line of duty. Secondly, both in 2020 and all through to today, in every election, there are observers from both parties who we invite into the process to watch how smoothly and secure everything is when it comes to tabulating every valid vote and only valid votes, whether it be at our absentee counting boards or in the voting process. So transparency is our friend, and questions are important for people to ask. We welcome those questions, and that's why we set up this website as well for people to consistently deliver questions to us that we or clerks can answer to help people get clarity. We know that a lot of what we saw in 2020 or anytime conspiracy theories take hold is when there's a vacuum of trusted information out there that then allows that blank slate to be filled with misinformation. So we're trying today to proactively get ahead of that, pre-bunking misinformation information, helping people know the procedures we have in place to ensure all valid votes and only valid votes are counted. But in addition to that, if with all that information, people still choose to be disruptive or try to interfere with the voting process or the counting of valid votes, we will seek consequences, because it is not appropriate for anyone to try to do that when citizens or poll workers are doing their jobs to ensure our election process is smooth. Finally, with the certification process, certification in Michigan is a ministerial duty. It's essentially looking at the numbers that the clerks have prepared and confirming that they are added correctly. There are times and places for challenging election results. There are recounts, there are audits, there are other things. The certification process is not one of them, and we'll continue to make that clear and enforce the law where needed to ensure that disruptions at any point in our elections, pre, post, or during or after, are not tolerated, and we will work with clerks and law enforcement to ensure that's the case.
We're Detroit's local 4 here in Detroit. What keeps you up at night about this election?
We're in an era of political violence and in an era of misinformation, and there's a direct line between lies about our elections and violence targeting election officials. What keeps me up at night is worrying about the 1,500 clerks, 83 county clerks, and thousands of election workers who will proudly stand guard of our elections and work to make sure the very integrity and security of our process is real for every citizen, and then still be inundated with threats of violence, or perhaps even violent acts. I think all of us are in a state of hypervigilance because of that, because of what we've seen around the country, and because we also know that foreign and domestic bad actors will use violent threats and potentially even violent actions to send a message of intimidation to all election officials and potentially voters in an election season that is so consequential for our nation. So I'm worried about that. But to me, not only working with law enforcement helps us prepare, but really helping all citizens understand that regardless of your party affiliation, regardless of who you hope wins this election in any office, this is our moment as Americans to respect the process and to help ensure it goes smoothly for everyone. And I can really, promise people that if you genuinely look into the security of our process and the hard work these election officials are doing every day to ensure its security, you will only find reasons to believe in the process and its integrity and in the results, as opposed to the opposite. So that's why we want everyone to become experts in election information this year, because that is our greatest tool to protect against disruptions.
I know some people are concerned with family members who have since passed receiving absentee ballot applications. How are we making sure those aren't fraudulently filled out?
First, every week at the statewide level, we receive death notices to ensure that we are aware in the statewide voter file of people who are no longer alive and thereby must be removed from the rolls. Then daily, county clerks receive death notices as well that they forward on to local clerks, and local clerks also do a daily check. And so, especially during the voting season, in this moment when ballots are coming in, there is a check to make sure that they are still eligible for whatever reason, whether because they moved or have passed away or not ineligible, to ensure that only valid votes are ultimately being counted. And that's, again, something that clerks are vigilant about. They're doing daily, and we're checking with federal records weekly on, and that's frankly more than has ever been done before in this state to protect against the potential for ineligible citizens or ineligible participants voting in our elections.
Do you feel there's more of a concern about this than 4 years ago?
Yes, I do. I think, and that's fine. It's fine for citizens to be hyper concerned and vigilant about anyone who's ineligible to participate voting. What you will find if you actually look into our processes, that we have a number of checks in place to remove people when they become deceased and to ensure only citizens are voting in our elections. And we work with partners at the federal level as well as the local level to consistently ensure the accuracy of our voter registration rolls, and ensure if someone, as happens in every election, if someone casts a vote and then is not alive on election day, that vote is not counted.
Can I slip one more?
Sure.
Rudy Giuliani lost his license in D.C. today. Earlier this summer, Sidney Ballot paid Detroit $132,000 for bringing the false suits. But these stories don't resonate like the initial protests did. I'm interested in your thought in regard to the work you've had to do for years now to reinforce the quality of elections, etc., the frustration of that. Do you think you've made the progress? We still have a lot of people who still disbelieve. I mean, where are you with that in regard to Can't unring the bell, as the cliche goes.
After the 2020 election, it was both incredibly heartening to see so many citizens participate in our election, especially during a pandemic, and also incredibly disheartening to see what evolved based on lies and misinformation, and frankly, some candidates' unwillingness to accept that they lost an election, which was essentially what happened. And the fact that the recipients of the threats since then have been the professional election workers who are proud to do this work, and for the most part are not partisan officials and just committed to doing their work with professionalism. To see them be the recipients of so much ire, so much anger as a result of this misinformation that's rooted in people being upset that they lost an election is everything that is opposite of who we're supposed to be as Americans. And so, to me, going into this cycle, into this as we launch the first day of voting, my hope continues to be that officials on both sides of the aisle and everywhere in between, local, state, and federal, recognize that who we are as Americans is more important than who wins an election. And in my view, we can always, with the truth and the facts on our side, stand with the will of the people, whatever it may be, because our elections are secure, they are accessible, and the results are accurate. So I hope everyone who has perhaps launched into tirades against us in the past with misinformation or questions about our processes that are rooted in false information recognizes the consequences of spreading misinformation, because they are directly linked to potentials for violence against election officials or even poll workers and voters. And my hope is that we can rise above this and remind ourselves all collectively that as Americans, we have a responsibility to protect democracy regardless of our party affiliation. And I'm grateful for the many who, since 2024, have done that and have made that statement. And I hope more will in the future. And again, as you reference, there are legal consequences for those who choose not to, and particularly for those who abuse their access to the courts or their other access of authority to spread lies and misinformation that directly undermines the will of the people.
How are you preparing for more litigation or more lawsuits from the RNC in Michigan?
Well, we've hired a lot more lawyers, and we're also working to make sure that even as lawsuits are filed, sometimes the day after identical lawsuits are dismissed for not having merit, that we are trying to help the public see that lawsuits are being used as a tool to create a narrative of distrust. And we'll continue to vigorously defend our processes and ensure the law is followed across the board. But at the same time, we want citizens to know that there are sometimes lawsuits are filed to enforce the law. Other times, especially in moments like this, lawsuits are filed to put a story out there to sow seeds of distrust about our processes. And this is a moment where only if citizens all collectively commit to being critical consumers of information, to seeking out trusted information and facts about our elections, or even being an election worker themselves, can they best see firsthand how secure our elections are and can best protect themselves from the misinformation that's trying to confuse them about our processes. But in terms of preparation, we will continue to make sure the law is followed across the board. But again, it's also important for us to ensure that elections are decided by the people and that people can have trust in our elections processes, despite all of the noise that is often leveraged through PR campaigns that are masquerading as lawsuits.
Congress with CBS Detroit. Talk to us about just the fact that these foreign entities are trying to interfere with our elections. You've also tried to meet voters where they're at by giving them access to check where their status of their absentee ballot is, where they can also get their text messages. Talk to us about how you guys are trying to strike this balance of security within your office as you're reaching out to these voters.
Yeah, well, I think two things. One, information and facts are our friend, and transparency is our friend. And the most important defense against any efforts, foreign and domestic, to fool voters about our elections or create distrust in the process is a smart and educated and critical thinking citizen. And so our job and our hope in the weeks ahead is to help and equip every citizen in our state with the tools they need to know the facts about our elections, and where to go when they have questions. And that's what we've set up today. And then to also recognize when they hear things, when they see a Facebook post alleging this, that, or the other, or perhaps a graphic or a video that suggests violence or the potential for violence, or in some way tries to diminish trust in our elections or in our democracy, that they know where to turn to for accurate information or to fact check something. And that secondly, they understand that because the results of our presidential election will likely be influenced, if not determined, by citizens in Michigan, there are foreign adversaries to democracy who are trying to confuse our citizens about their right, about their voice, and about their power in this moment. And only when citizens know that voice, that power, and the work that they can do to participate in our elections, that's our best chance to protect our entire democracy against these threats. All right, thanks, guys. I'm sure we'll see each other a lot in the next 40 days. So I'll see you next time.